UK faces a tough road ahead, said Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey today, with the recession looming on the horizon. But it's the Bank of England's job to tackle inflation, which is at 10.1%, of course, a 40-year high. And that's why the Bank of England has now raised interest rates. Back in 2014, rates were at 0.5%. They fell when we voted to Brexit as the Bank of England panicked. And then during the pandemic, of course, rates were down at 0.1%. But since then, they've gone all the way up to 3% today, with a 0.75% rise, the fastest increase for a long time. What we've just seen is the 8th successive interest rate rise. And that 0.75% increase, that's the biggest rise since 1989. And the Bank of England's base interest rate is now at its highest level since 2008. Many households, of course, are struggling to pay for the essentials. But Andrew Bailey was at pains to point out that low, stable inflation is the bedrock of a stable economy, an economy in which hard-earned money keeps its value. He's stressing that while interest rate rises are painful, high inflation is even more painful. The governor went on to say that from where we stand now, we, that is the Monetary Policy Committee, those 9 economists, we think inflation will begin to fall back by the middle of 2023. That's a chink of good news. Interest rates could then peak at 5.25% in the second half of next year, said the governor. What does that mean then in sum? It means that according to the Bank of England, market expectations for where interest rates might peak are now too high. Interest rates could peak at a lower level than is currently expected, said the governor. And this could push down the cost of fixed-rate mortgages for those of us that are servicing their home loans. As Andrew Bailey said explicitly, rates on new fixed-rate mortgages should not need to rise as much as they have done recently. And that's good news for what we call mortgage affordability. Mortgage affordability is the share of your income that you're using to pay your mortgage. Now, you'll see there on that graphic, back in the late 1980s, we were spending on average 29–30% of our post-tax incomes on our mortgage. Back then, interest rates were 12–15% even. Interest rates now are much lower, with mortgage rates peaking up towards 6%. But because houses are so much more expensive and people are more indebted, we're getting back to those levels of mortgage affordability or unaffordability similar back in the late 80s, even though interest rates are much lower than they were back then. One aspect of this that is good news is that higher interest rates means there'll be more savings, interest on savings. That's really important for pensioners and others who live off their savings interests. The interest rate peak, also good news, could be lower than expected, 5.25% or 5.5% in the middle of next year, said the governor. But in sum, the UK does face a very challenging 2-year slump. Indeed, as Andrew Bailey said, a tough road ahead. So millions of us, of course, are dealing with spiralling prices, lower wages and now higher borrowing costs too. But there was a hint in what we heard today, a chink of light, that while the Bank of England is putting up rates now, sometime next year, it could be bringing them down again.